All right, we are moving on to page 3 in your digital notebook. This first question, what was the Aryan invasion theory? You'll find that answer in this pink highlighted paragraph. Just looking to see where number 2 is. It's down there, so we'll do that in a bit. So let's go ahead and listen to this section right here.
Who were the Indo-Aryans and how did they live? Historians have taken different views on the origins of the Indo-Aryans. In the past, historians accepted the Aryan invasion theory. This theory held that the Indo-Aryans were nomadic warriors who crossed the mountains into India. They used horse-drawn chariots and iron weapons to defeat the local people. This theory has proven to be false, however. Others have argued that the Aryans were India's original inhabitants. They say that if the Indo-Aryans came from a region outside of India, the Vedas would refer to it. The Vedas, however, do not make any mention of such a place. More recently, scholars suggest a third theory, which suggests Indo-Aryans were originally from what is now Afghanistan and Central Asia. Over many centuries, they migrated into India with their livestock, mixed with local people and adopted local beliefs. Local people adopted the Indo-Aryan language. Over time, people across a large part of the Indian subcontinent came to see themselves as Indo-Aryans.
All right, again, number 1. What was the Aryan invasion theory? You will find the answer in this pink highlighted paragraph. All right, we're going to go down here. You'll see this green highlighted paragraph. What is Sanskrit? So that is what you are going to look for as this is being read to you. So let's go ahead and listen.
What are the Vedas? The Indo-Aryans composed the Vedas. There are 4 Vedas, the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. Each Veda is a collection of hundreds and even thousands of sacred hymns. Ancient Indians, usually priests, memorized and sang or chanted these verses during ceremonies. The Vedas called upon people to make offerings to their gods. Typical offerings might be barley, butter, or milk. For 1,000 years, Indians passed the Vedas down by word of mouth. They sang or chanted them in Sanskrit, which is a distant relative of English. Today, Sanskrit remains a language of sacred literature. Sanskrit is the ancestor of many modern Indian languages, including Hindi and Urdu. Eventually, Indians began to collect the Vedas and put them into writing. The oldest of the Vedas is the Rig Veda. It includes about 10,000 hymns. One passage, "The truth is one, the wise call it by many names," is considered a key part of Hindu philosophy. Most of the hymns also praise various gods and goddesses representing natural forces such as the sky, sun, and fire. These deities are viewed as different forms of a single divine absolute. Another Veda is dedicated to an earth goddess. She is praised for her bounty. The Vedas are considered to have influenced and contributed to the development of Hinduism and are still used in some Hindu rituals today.
Number 2, what is Sanskrit? You'll find that answer in this green highlighted paragraph. All right, let's move on to page 4. You will see this first question. How did the early Indo-Aryans measure their wealth? This is a mastery check question. You can tell because it's yellow. Another question, we're going to listen to all 3 of these. So in this pink highlighted paragraph, you're going to look for the answer to number 2. Aryans grew crops. What were 3 examples of what they grew? And then number 3 will be in this green highlighted paragraph. What did Indo-Aryans do for fun? So let's go ahead and listen, and you can find those 3 answers to these 3 questions on page 4.
How did the Indo-Aryans live? The Rig Veda and the other sacred texts provide a record not only of the Vedic religion, but also of the people themselves. Most of what we know about Indo-Aryan life on the Indian subcontinent during this period comes from the Vedas. Though scholars do not know the origins of Indo-Aryans, the Vedas show that they lived as herders. They raised cattle, horses, goats, and sheep. Cattle held special importance for them since the herds provided both food and clothing. Early on, ancient Indians measured their wealth by the size of their cattle herds. The Vedas also mention that the Aryans practiced agriculture and grew several different crops including barley, wheat, and lentils. The Rig Veda mentions water channels dug from the banks of the Saraswati and other rivers to irrigate these crops. Milk and its products were a very important part of their diet. As the Indo-Aryans began to focus more on growing crops, however, they gave up dairy farming as their main source of food. The Vedas show that the Indo-Aryans found joy in their day-to-day lives. They loved music and dancing. They held chariot races and enjoyed gambling. They also questioned the meaning of life and existence through their texts. The following passage from a hymn in the Rig Veda describes the connection between the human body and a divine power. Primary source. The human body is the temple of God. One who kindles the light of awareness within gets true light. The sacred flame of your inner shrine is constantly bright. The experience of unity is the fulfillment of human endeavors. The mysteries of life are revealed. Rig Veda.
All right, number 1. How did the early Indo-Aryans measure their wealth? You'll find that answer in this yellow circled paragraph. Number 2. Aryans grew crops. What were 3 examples of what they grew? They give you 3 examples right here in this paragraph. List those now or choose the correct answers. Number 3, what did Indo-Aryans do for fun? You'll find that answer in this green highlighted paragraph. All right, let's move on to page 5 of your digital notebook. There are 2 more mastery check questions. The first question you will find in this first paragraph, why was the Ganges Plain a good region for settlement? And number 2 will be in this second circled paragraph, where did the Indo-Aryan kingdoms develop by 500 BCE? Let's go ahead and listen.
The growth of Vedic civilization. Over many hundreds of years, Vedic civilization slowly spread eastward across the humid and fertile Ganges Plain. The Indo-Aryans carved farms and villages from the forests. Some villages grew into towns and cities. At first, communities were divided into clans, or groups of people who believed that they share a common ancestor. Each clan had a chief. Later, clans joined together to form republics. Leaders made decisions in an assembly, but over time, powerful leaders gained control and made themselves kings. By 500 BCE, more than a dozen kingdoms and republics covered northern, western, and central India. As Vedic civilization grew, societies in the southern part of India also developed their own culture. People in this part spoke languages like Tamil, which had no similarity to Sanskrit. Over time, Sanskrit-speaking people eventually mingled with these groups, creating new customs based on a mixture of the different groups.
Number 1, why was the Ganges Plain a good region for settlement? You'll find that answer in this first circled paragraph. Number 2, where did the Indo-Aryan kingdoms develop by 500 BCE? You'll find that answer in this second circled paragraph.